Okay, this is for Monday and Tuesday for 3-8, 3-9. First period, yours is a little different than this because you actually, I did a different lesson with you, and you're going to be doing this on Wednesday. So this is for you. All right, first of all, I want to do a warm-up and take this because this is something from the test that happened a lot, and I don't need to put in equals here. First thing I need to do to simplify this is get any square root off the bottom. So I need a very unusual form of 1, and it's going to be the conjugate of the denominator is the correct way to say it. So 1 plus the square root of 2 over 1 plus the root of 2. Now, interestingly enough, this creates conjugates, which is what factoring dots is doing. So if you have A plus B times A minus B, then that gives me A squared minus B squared. And you're like, what's that got to do with this? Because this is your A and your B. Look, A minus B, A plus B. So it means you have these two things squared. So the very bottom of this is actually really easy to do. A minus square root of 2 squared is 2. Okay, 1 squared is 1, then minus 2. This upper piece is a little tougher to do, and if you want a box to do it with, you may. 1 plus root 2, 1 plus root 2, 1 root 2, root 2, and 2. These two you get to add. 1 plus 2 is 3. Square root of 2 plus square root of 2 is 2 square roots of 2. Okay, simplify the bottom, you get negative 1. And that means it just negates everything that's on top, right? That's what dividing by negative 1 does. So, this isn't equals. I thought that it was a minus sign. Heaven help me. Negative 3 minus 2 root 2, final answer. Okay? All right, so I told the kids to go ahead and just pause this for a minute and do as many of these problems as you can. I'm going to go ahead and just work through every one of them. Pause me when you want to. Speed it up to the end just to check your answers if that's what you want to do. All right, so this one is going to be 6 goes into all of them. So pulling out a 6, it leaves 3x minus 2x plus 6. And that is not an x, that is a y. Sorry. All right, factor using a diamond. To do a diamond, those of you that don't understand, it's AC over B. Set this up where you have AX here, and you multiply to go to the attic. And you add to go to the basement. So there's your rules, adding, subtracting, all right? So I'm going to do that very thing. I'm going to set up this diamond. I've got 1 times 24 over the B, negative 10, and I just have an M on the bottom. So 24, 6 times 4 is 24. And if they're both negative, that will give me negative 10. They're both negative and I multiply, it still gives me 24. The answer here is M minus 6, M minus 4, and I'm done. And you're like, why did I have to do the M? Because when this is some number other than a 1 and it reduces, you really want your M in there. It just makes it easier. So look at this one. This is one that we have that happened. We get negative 24 over 10, and we get a 3x and a 3x, all right? So negative here, 12 and 2 will do this, and the 2 is going to be negative, and you need to cancel. This reduces to 4, so this factors to x plus 4 times 3x minus 2. All right, looking at the last one. This one has 4 pieces, so this is a grouping one. And if you don't remember, you want to split it in half right there. And then factor out whatever you can from these. In this case, we're going to have an x squared and a 7. So 7x squared times 3x minus 2. This one, that negative means that I'm going to have a minus here, and I can pull a 4 out of these. So pulling out a negative 4 means that this is going to leave 3x minus 2. Now, if you remember from Algebra 1, we would yell, oh my gosh, they match, yay! That's because this is another GCF. So we had little tiny cute GCFs right here. And now we have this big honking GCF, and it's 3x minus 2. The leftovers from the squiggly lines is 7x squared minus 4. Okay? Before, your leftovers was the 3x minus 2 because it's what's left over when you factor that out. Now we're factoring out the big guy, and it leaves the numbers that are left. Okay. Select, roll the page. There we go. There we go. All right, so factor using more than one method. All right, the best way to do this one is to pull out the 9, x squared minus 4. Now we have a difference of 2 squares. We get x plus 2, x minus 2. Now in class, I did take the time to show them, by the way, this is the best way. Smiley face. That's the best way, but you can take 3x plus 6 times 3x minus 6 because you're like, oh, difference of 2 squares, got it. Well, then you've got a 3 that will come out all the way across this. So pulling a 3 out of the first one leaves 2, not a 2, just an x. Leaves an x plus 2. And then pulling a 3 out of this one, well, I just got all excited and just wrote that parenthesis right down. Okay, I'm going to do the second one right here. So pulling out a 3, it leaves x minus 2. Okay, so you pull these together and you get 9. You're multiplying, not adding. This is all multiplication. You're just rearranging that multiplication. X plus 2. X minus 2, and I get the same answer as I did over here, but gee, this one seemed easier, and it is. I would agree. On this one, what you want to do first is pull out your 25. Let's see, how many quarters we got in $2? 8 of them. And how many quarters we got in $4? 16 of them. So, set up my diamond, 16, negative 8. W, W. All right, so 4 and 4. And it is okay. I would never count this wrong as W minus 4 times W minus 4. I never gave my kids bonus points for this, but it can be rewritten a little bit shorter. W minus 4 squared. Know that because it can make your life a little bit easier. Okay? All right. So I'm going to leave the rest for you. That's homework. And what I'm going to do is go down. There's one of them I wanted to show you. This is homework. Oh, I know which one I wanted to show you. It actually has to do with these guys. I'll post the key to these so you can see them. But here, I'm going to let n equal cosine of x. And if I do, that means this guy right here looks like 6n squared minus 3n minus 3. Do you have a GCF? The answer is yes. You have a 3. 2n squared minus n minus 1. And you do a diamond, and you get negative 2, negative 1, 2n, 2n. This is a 2 and a 1. I need that one to be negative. This cancels, making a negative 1. So I have 3 times n minus 1 times 2n plus 1. And now I'm going to go back and say, oh yeah, n is equal to cosine. So everywhere there's an n, I have a cosine. So that means I have 3 times cosine x minus 1 times 2 cosine x plus 1, and I'm done. Okay? That's what you're to do on this. Now, this one, it said hint, reorder to get it in standard form. So if I took this as it is and got 4x squared, or not, let's not use x, let's use an n, sorry. 4n squared, and let n equal cosine of x, minus 2 plus 2n. We need to rearrange this, okay, because our n term needs to be in standard form. So we're at 4n squared plus 2n minus 2. All of a sudden you go, wait a minute, I can pull a 2 out of all this. You're right. 2n squared plus n minus 1. Wait a minute. It follows the same pattern. Yay, we're going to cheat. 2 times n minus 1 times 2n plus 1. How did I do this? I stole my answers from up here because they match. Oh, you know what? This is a plus. That's a minus. So I have to swap my signs. That's a plus. This is a minus. Doggone it. I was trying to steal those answers. Minus 1. Okay, so this will end up giving me 2 times cosine x plus 1 times 2 cosine x minus 1. Done. All right, so this one, what do you do on this one? This one is going to be, I'm going to change out all the n's, right? 2n to the third plus n squared minus n. Do you get it? You can factor out not a 2, but an n. I lost my mind for a second. I just found it again. It's okay. N times 2n squared plus n minus 1. Now we factor. All right. I'm going to do for you what I did for my class, and it's focusing on number 6 and number 8. Number 6. Factoring this guy in the ends. Now, you're going to have to figure out all the other pieces of it, but I will give you some of it. I'm going to make this, you figure out, doggone it, you figure out that n is equal to tangent x, and so this gives me x to the 4th, n to the 4th. I'm determined to have an x here. I'm getting tired. I've taught this all day and I'm ready to go home. It's after 5 o'clock. So n to the 4th minus n to the 2nd, and I'm going to pull out an n squared, giving me n to the 2nd minus 1, and now I've got a difference of 2 squares. I've got a dots here, so it's n plus 1, n minus 1, and the n squared is there. So once you have it factored like this, then you can put your tangents back in. There's your hint, and this is the other one that's a bit of a difficulty. If we make this n to the 8th minus n to the 4th, we get n to the 4th factored out, leaving n to the 4th minus 1. Guys, these two, when you're multiplying, you add those up. 4 plus 4 is 8, right? Okay? So now this is n to the 4th times, well, oh my gosh, we got a perfect square again. So we got n squared plus 1, n squared minus 1, and oh my gosh, we have another one. Okay? Last one, n plus 1 times n minus 1 is that piece, and then everything else stayed the same. N to the 4th, n squared plus 1, and then all of this is it factored. So now we have to do cosine and every bit of that. But I'm going to leave it for you, and that's today's lessons. Have a good one. I am finished.